Hi guys, so before I talk about the books that I've read in the first half of September, or the first half of the books I read in the month of September, I want to talk about the readathons I hope to be participating in, or there's one I'm definitely participating in, and two others I want to attempt to try to participate in, but one hasn't started yet, and the other I will see if I get a chance to squeeze a book in. So first off, there is Space Opera September. I heard about this late last year, like in late September, so I didn't get to participate. Space operas is a subgenre of science fiction, and they take place in space. And they, from what I can tell, tend to be very character driven. But the majority of them happen like during space travel. So it's not just being on a foreign planet or whatever. And this is a genre that I know I enjoy from movies and TV shows, Star Trek, for example. And I would like to read more of them. This particular subgenre of sci-fi I already know I probably would enjoy, and this is a good opportunity to participate. So we'll see. That runs the entire month of September. The second readathon I would like to participate in is the Latinx readathon. Or the Latinx readathon, because I don't think I will be reading enough Latinx books to do Latinx book bingo. But Latinxathon is to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month here in the United States, which runs from September 15th to October 15th. That's Hispanic Heritage Month. Latinxathon is running from September 15th through the 24th. So my goal is just to read more books with Latinx characters and by Latinx authors. For that, there are specific prompts, but one, I don't remember them off the top of my head, and two, I don't have enough books that I'm interested in that I know about that will be fairly easy to get, that would fit every single prompt, so I'm not like going for gold there. Lastly, and the big one, Becca's Bookoplathon. If you follow me on Twitter, link in the description down below, you've already seen the thread of me giving updates on books I've read. Becca's Bookoplathon. Becca in the Books runs this, and this is her first readathon that she has created. And she based it on her monthly TBR game, which is Bookopoly. And Becca is like my favorite booktuber, point blank period. I've been following her since before she started Bookopoly, about a year, almost 2 years ago. And it's always entertaining watching her pick her books with Bookopoly. And I was very key to participate with this month-long version. And she created a specific board, which I'll show here. And I printed it out, I pasted it into my bullet journal, because that's where I keep track of everything, not just books. And I have been rolling as I go, meaning I roll for books, and as I either get them from the library or finish them, I do a new roll. Whereas the other option was to roll as many times as you decide in the beginning of the month and set your TBR. I might regret not doing that second option already, slightly, but we'll see how it goes. So, long explanation for that, but let's talk about the first book that I read in the month of September. The first book I finished in the month of September. volume 30 of Attack on Titan. And this is the last published English translation of the manga that are out. This is by Hajime Isayama. I gave this 5 stars, I think, maybe 4.5. But this, I won't be reading any new ones for a while because they're not translated yet. So I have to wait until new ones are translated. And wow, I can't really say much because of this volume because of spoilers, but in general, this series is about people who live in this place called Paradise, and they live in a society where they are behind 3 giant 100-foot walls, and they are behind these walls because beyond the walls in the rest of the world, as far as they know, are Titans. Titans are these giant humanoid-like beings that eat people, and that seems to be all they do. So the only protection from Titans is living behind these walls. So one day, though, the Colossal Titan shows up, and that is a Titan that they've never seen or heard of before because it is taller than the walls that protect them, and it kicks a hole in the side of the walls and lets in all the other Titans, one of which kills the mother and father of our main protagonist in the beginning, and the 3 kids become orphans and go off to join the Survey Corps, which is a branch of the military in Paradise that kills Titans. They go beyond the walls, they study Titans, they capture them, and they kill them. But their main thing is to find out where Titans are coming from and why. And this is an insane series. It's very gory. Like, you see Titans eat people, and it's not pretty. And it happens often. There is politics in this. There's coming of age happening as well, and found family, and just all kinds of mystery. So this is a great fantasy manga. This is probably like the best manga I've ever read. Give it a try if it sounds up your alley. This is adult, as you can tell. Before I forget, I read this. This was my first role for Becca's Bookoplathon, and this fulfilled not a prompt, but I got the chance card, and this was the book that was on the back of that card. So go check out my vlog if you haven't seen that. Alright, so the second book I finished in the month of September was Ruin and Rising by Lee Bardugo. This is covered with the stuff from the library, because it's another library book. This is book 3 in the Grishaverse, book 3 and the final book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy in the Grishaverse. This last year I read Six of Crows and its follow-up book, which I don't remember the title of, and loved them. So I wanted to read this series. I will admit, up until this book, I was very lukewarm about it, and up until forcing myself to get this book, I was really considering DNFing this series because I was not that interested in finding out how things ended. I could have just gone and looked it up on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't because this turned out to be my favorite in the trilogy. Not the Grishaverse series, but in this Shadow and Bone trilogy, this was the best book. I gave this 4.5 stars. This is a young adult fantasy series. and it's set in this Russian-like world, and we're following character Alina, who is an orphan. She grows up in the country of Ravka, and as a regular person with her best friend Mal, and when they get old enough, they join the first army of Ravka, which is along with the second army and the Darkling trying to cross the Fold, which is this dark swath going down the middle of their country, cutting off people from each other. It's very dangerous inside the Fold. It's completely dark, and there are monstrous creatures that attack and eat people inside the Fold, and the army goes in to try to stop them. So anyway, Alina and Mal and their company go into the Fold, and Alina turns out to be this mysterious Grisha who the Darkling has been looking for. Grisha are the magic users in this world. They all have different abilities, and the Darkling is the most powerful Grisha in the world. And so he leads the second army, which is the army of Grisha. So anyway, Alina's life changes, and she gets sent off to the capital to learn how to use her new power and to work with the Darkling to try to get rid of the Fold, and things ensue from there. This book is not perfect. I gave it 4 stars. This book is not perfect. A lot of the problems that were in the previous books do stand here. This is young adult, so I guess like certain things we don't go into in depth because of that. But I also think that the writing in this could have been better. Like, there are certain things that we could have got more depth to, so that it didn't feel like we're glossing over those issues, those events that happened. Like, someone gets attacked and it's like, okay, yeah, and it sucks, but we gotta move on. I also really don't like the transition book to book. Each book kind of ends in a cliffhanger, not in a like, oh my god, cliffhanger, but a more mild type of one. And it's like, how will they get out of this situation? What will they do? This is sudden. My goodness, we didn't expect that. And then the start of the next book is like, oh yeah, well, it wasn't that big a deal. 20 pages, and we're moving on from that. And it's like, well, the tension is not built comfortably to me, I guess I should say. I also don't like that the stakes are not that high. Like, someone is supposed to die, but then they are brought back, and it's just like, they could have stayed dead, and that would have been better, in my opinion. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. So whatever. However, I am happy with the relationship that won in the end. The whole series is, there's a love triangle going on with one guy or another, and I didn't hate it because it felt kind of realistic, but on the same note, the other guys didn't stand a chance against this guy, and I am very happy that she wound up with this guy, because that was the most realistic relationship, the way it was built. So it wasn't really a true love triangle at any point, in my opinion, and I'm okay with that, I guess. I do like what happens with the powers at the end. I feel like defeating the big bad was so easily done. But I liked Alina in this. And in the previous books, I didn't care about her. I couldn't even remember her name when I was doing the reviews. So this is the first out of 3 reviews where I remembered the main character's name. And I guess it's sort of fitting how things ended for her in that case. She was just a regular girl, and she's just a regular girl, and that's okay. So I enjoyed this 4 stars, and I read this. This was the book I picked for my 3rd role in Bookoplathon, which was to read a young adult book. Okay, hey, new outfit here. It's much later in the month. I finished, the next book I finished was Archangels War by Nalini Singh. Now, I recently talked about this, I think, in my favorite series video, and I do talk about it in my upcoming, if it's not out already, it should be, but you never know. My favorite paranormal romance series. So this is book 12, the most recent release, the most as of filming time, of the Guild Hunter series by this author. This series is an urban fantasy paranormal romance. We're in a we're in a fantasy version of our modern world where angels rule. They are the top of the totem pole of the food pyramid. Specifically, the Archangels, the cadre of 10, and they create vampires, and then there are regular human beings. The focus of this series is mostly on the Archangel Raphael, who rules North America, and Elena, who is a guild hunter, which is what the series is named after. Elena is a guild hunter who is a little bit more powerful than her fellow hunters, guild members, and she gets hired by Raphael to hunt down something or someone different than her usual vampires. So, like I said, angels create vampires, and part of that is that a lot of people, regular human beings, want to live forever, so they sign a contract with an angel if they are compatible to become a vampire, and that contract states that they have to then be working for that angel for 100 years. But some people, sign the contract, become vampires, and decide it's not for them. Or they sign it thinking, oh, I'll just run away. And that's when guild hunters come in. They hunt down vampires who try to get out of their contracts. But, like I said, Elena is hired to do an extra special job by Raphael, and things don't turn out as expected, even knowing that this is a different hunt than her usual. This is set in, this fantasy version of New York City, which looks pretty much like regular New York, except there are tons of balconies with no railings for angels to take off and land on. I really like this series. I like the romance between Elena and Raphael. This is like a culmination of a lot of build-up for literally the last 12 books. We finally, if you've read this series, have the war. This was slow. I think this one is a little bit longer than the previous ones. This is 471 pages. Like, literally the entire thing. There's no spoiler in the back for the next book. So this is the entire thing, and it was really slow in the beginning for me. I don't know, I wasn't reading very well this month. I have like a 2-week reading slump basically, and That's okay, it happens. Uh, but I think this one building up so slowly and somewhat realistically kind of hurt for that. I don't know if I want to give it 3.5 or 4 stars. I might have to think about it a little bit longer because I don't know if it's more me or the book. I felt like the recovery in the beginning was simultaneously rushed and then also too slow. Like everything else that was going on was happening very slowly, but the recovery was, you know, a note here, a note there. We didn't get details too much for that. Um, Once we got about halfway through the book, then things start to pick up. Um, a lot more action happens more often, and a lot happens in a short period of time. And this is war. This is not like if you've been reading the series of previous battles that have been occurring. So, I picked this book for Becca's Bookoplathon for, I don't remember which role it is. I think role number 4, which was to read a sequel. That's my review. Like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. The other book I finished at the same time, basically, was an audiobook, and that was American Like Me, Reflections on of a life between cultures. Excuse me. I listened to the audiobook of this. I pick this somewhat for Becca's Bookoplathon to read my highest. I think this was role number 5 to read my highest rated book. I went through a lot. I couldn't choose, so I requested a bunch of different books from the library and was like, whichever one I got first. And this is an audio book which was available, so that was the first one I picked up. And this is a non-fiction book compiled and edited, I guess, by America Ferrera. I picked this because this was the highest rated book in my Goodreads list for Latinx books with Latinx authors and or characters. This was the highest rated on that list, and Latinxathon is happening from September 15th to the 24th, and it's Hispanic Heritage Month up until October 15th. So I wanted to get some Hispanic or Latinx books in there, and this was the highest rated on my list. Like I said, it's edited, compiled by America Ferrera. This was interesting. What it is like a series of memoirs by different Americans, various celebrity Americans, from politicians to actors and actresses to musicians and some sports players. And I wasn't expecting some of those, like the politicians and the sports players. The way it's built is like these are America Ferrera's friends, colleagues, and people that she looks up to, which, I mean, I don't know that much about her. She was in Ugly Betty and the Sisterhood of Traveling Pants, only one of which I've seen. And that was the movie. So she does an intro and an outro, and it's basically they're all either immigrants themselves or the daughters and sons or granddaughters and grandsons of immigrants. So American Like Me is the title for a reason. Some of them have very strong ties to their parents or grandparents or their own cultures and countries outside of the United States, and others don't. Some of the stories were funny, some of them were very poignant, others were a little heartbreaking. Some, for me, were very familiar. I am not the daughter of immigrants. I'm not, I guess I'm on one side of the family a granddaughter of immigrants. But my grandparents died when I was a teenager, and they didn't really, like on my mother's side, they didn't really talk about immigrating and that kind of thing. I just knew that it happened. They talked about their families, a lot of which are here, and some of which were back in their home countries. My grandfather really didn't talk at all about being from Barbados while he was alive. He didn't talk very much at all. So there's that. My grandmother's very proudly Puerto Rican, and I had lots of her siblings, because she was a daughter of 16, to listen to. My other side of the family have been here a lot longer as Black people, so there's that. My grandmother is from down south. I don't know beyond that. But with family and also living in New York City, we're the melting pot, which is really a salad bowl. I, especially from high school on, went to schools that were very multicultural. It's not difficult, but still a little hard to live in this city and not come in contact with a myriad of other cultures, of people from various immigrant backgrounds, because this is a city of immigrants, even to this day. So, like I said, a lot of these stories were not new to me. Everybody's story is not the same, but there are similarities. But I think the ones that really stuck with me are the ones from those who were Native American. There are 3 of those in this, and I can't imagine. Like, you were born here, you were raised here, your people are from here, yet you're not American like everyone else. So, I don't know what else to say. It was very good, very well done. And I read it relatively quickly, the majority of it in 2 days, even though I started a couple of days before that. And I give this definitely a 5 stars. There was nothing bad about this. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. I learned a lot. And there are some people I want to check out. Some of them have their own books. So, yeah, check out American Like Me. I don't know that this fits any particular prompt for Latinxathon. I have to look it up, but if it does, I'll put it here on the screen. And that concludes the books I read in the first half. No. The first half of the books I read in the month of September, because those last 2 I only read, finished after the 21st, so well after the first half of the month. But yeah, the first 4 books I read in September, those are them. Let me know if you've read any of these in the comments down below. Are you participating in Becca's Bookoplathon? Is it going well for you? Are you reading? Did you pick if you are, did you pick your books, like all your rolls at the beginning of the month, like Becca does? Or did you do like me and roll as you go? Let me know. What else you've been reading this month? What was your favorite book so far? And like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new. I will have the wrap up for September coming soon with my September reading stats, as well as my favorite paranormal romance books. That video may or may not be up, but if it's not, it will be the next reading video. So hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified when the video goes up. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!